In this update, we're tracking this rapidly deepening low pressure center that will start to take shape across the upper Midwest, setting the stage for a bona fide blizzard for them. But further to the south, we've got a lot of shear with this storm system, and unfortunately, that will set up all three modes of severe storms later on tonight, starting in East Texas and then moving into the deep south and going into the southeast into your Friday time frame. So I appreciate all my subscribers out there. This channel's up to 226,000 subscribers. I'm here almost on a daily basis. So if you'd like to follow along throughout the 2024 year, I'll keep you well ahead of the storm. So let's break down these hazard indexes because, man, it is a busy map. We're in the heart of winter, and then we have an Arctic blast that will be coming through late this week. So here's the setup further to the northwest. We've got widespread, the snow is just cranking up there in the Cascades. Widespread winter weather watches and warnings for them across the Pacific Northwest, heading into the Boise region. Further south, the winds are starting to crank across the Southern California there. And then you got hard freezes into the Tucson, Arizona region. The snow is flying up there in Flagstaff and up towards Salt Lake City. Then once you move across into the Albuquerque region, it's snowing for them. And then it's just all the wind that's going to be associated with the southern flank of this storm. We've almost seen this movie. We just saw this and we're going to do it again. But unfortunately, this one's going to be even stronger than the last one that moved through. So we're looking at widespread wind advisories that will unfold. The winds are going to be cranking even without a storm, 45 to 55 miles an hour in this brown shaded area. But further to the north, where that low pressure center will start to take shape, the snow is starting to fly up there into the Kansas region, getting into the Omaha region where they did issue those winter storm warnings now, and then more snow pretty much for the entire state of Iowa. But once it gets up into the Chicago region, likely into the Milwaukee region, I think these will be upgraded to blizzard warnings for them as this storm system will be closer, and that will swing into Wisconsin and into portions pretty much the entire state of Michigan. So right now, we're kind of in between storms, right? So we're coming out of a bigger type of event, but we still have snow flying up there in Michigan along the lakes there. But you can already see the newly developed system that was snowing in Flagstaff this morning that's moving across the Four Corners region. So that storm that went through northern Illinois, I had this picture sent to me. It snowed about 6 inches up there, but this was a kind of a wet snow and it melted as it came down. So overall, it had about almost 3 inches in accumulations up there in northern Illinois, but that's going to be nothing compared to what's to come with this next storm system. So let's really break this thing down for you. It's really separated in two parts. You can definitely see where the warm sector is, right? It's going to be plenty warm for across the deep south. We're actually talking widespread 70s today across a good part of Texas. That's why we are going to be dealing with severe storms later on tonight, but you can already see what's lurking to the north is the initial teaser of the Arctic blast further into Kansas and to Nebraska, but the real deal is up there into Western Canada, where places into British Columbia, into Alberta, back into Saskatchewan, it's going to get dangerously cold, 20, 30, 40, if not almost places 50 below zero, as true Arctic air will be plunging southbound as we head into the weekend. But we got to be dealing with severe storms before we get there. Within the warm sector, a lot of this unfolds. It says Thursday, but the Storm Prediction Center maps go through Friday morning at 6 a.m. and this is going to be an overnight event. So I'm not expecting anything for all day long until we get to the evening time frame. But right around midnight, we start to see the low-level jets start to tap into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We could be starting to see a squall line starting to blow up across that region, across the initial stage. These are fast movers. I'm talking 50, 60 miles an hour. And but by the time we head into that 3, 4 o'clock in the morning time frame out towards the Paris region, getting into the Texarkana region, that's where I'm definitely a little bit more concerned. The Storm Prediction Center did in fact upgrade this area to an enhanced risk for large hail too. So those quarters could turn to golf ball size up here towards Paris and into Hot Springs region into the early wee hours of the morning. But unfortunately, the atmosphere will be rotating, and we got to be on the lookout once you reach the Paris region for those, isolated tornadoes. And some of those could be on the strong side potential once you hit the Shreveport region into Texarkana and back into the Hot Springs, Arkansas region up towards Little Rock. Got to be concerned. This is an overnight threat. This is likely going to be between midnight and 6 a.m. tonight in the overnight. But going into tomorrow on Friday, it just gets more intense. And I was looking at some of the latest data, definitely concerned because we already got hit hard throughout this region just a couple of days ago. And unfortunately, this setup looks even stronger than the one you just dealt with. So we've got widespread hatched risk. That implies we could be looking at some of those strong EF2 type tornadoes. They had one down there towards Panama City that got ranked in EF3 with the last type of event. So it's the same general areas, unfortunately, that got hit hard last time are under the gun again heading into that Friday time frame. And these are going to be very fast movers. So this is likely going to be a Friday, afternoon, and then heading up into Friday night time frame once it gets up into the Charlotte region and going into the Raleigh region. But these areas definitely need to be on high alert. So let's break this thing down for you. This is kind of a snapshot of where the storm system, I think the initial stage begins in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, not as intense as this, just a kind of an isolated squall line starting to bubble up. But once we hit about the 3 o'clock in the morning time frame, I think that's when we start to be concerned about these turning more severe. And that's why they have the enhanced risk, because look at some of the deeper colors here. It's starting to turn purple. Those are those isolated discrete supercells. That's why they've got the hatched risk in place for the probability of some of those turning into golf ball size hail that could do damage to your vehicle. So if you live within that region, you're heading to bed, I advise you to put your car under cover, because we could be having some golf balls flying out of the sky into the overnight hours. And you don't want to be waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and try to put your car back in the garage because you're already too late, right? So that's going to move through. All right, so then we got a cold side to this system. So this is that same time frame at 3 o'clock in the morning tonight, Friday, tonight heading into Friday morning. The snow is going to be flying again across the Texas panhandle. This is like the 5th or 6th storm they've gotten, and even into portions of Oklahoma. But look what the low pressure is, 992. So that's already fairly significant. But look how fast it's going to rapidly deepen. So yes, the snow is going to be starting to crank up there in Nebraska, but especially into Iowa here. That's why they've got the winter storm warnings. Iowa City just got 15 inches. And yeah, you could be looking at another foot on top of what you just got as this storm system will be rapidly intensifying. This is just like 10 hours later, and we're already at like 976. This is going to be a significant system. The lower the pressure, the tighter the isobars, the tighter the storm, the higher the winds, and it's just going to be almost whiteout conditions across these regions heading through Missouri, but especially into Iowa. And then once you start flying into northern Illinois and you get that changeover, it's going to really start coming down in a big fashion. So by the time we head into that, this is that 6 at noon time frame into southern portions of Minnesota and going into Wisconsin here. The leading edge heads up into Michigan. But now let's zoom into this region, because I was reading the latest update from the National Weather Service in Chicago. All right. And they actually compared this storm to the heart attack snowstorm back on December 15th, 1987. But in that storm, they had snowfall rates up to 2 inches per hour at times for several hours. And that's likely going to be occurring with a 968 low pressure center right there. And that sets the sweet spot if you're in Chicago, if you're in the northern Illinois region, to get some significant snows from this system. They called it the heart attack snowstorm because unfortunately 26 people died from just shoveling snow. So this is a serious storm with widespread power outages likely. But once you get up into Michigan, that's why I think once, Chicago and Milwaukee will be upgrading to a blizzard warning with this particular setup, as it gets closer, because this is heading into Friday. But there's the widespread issues further to the south. In the warm sector, they're dealing with all three modes, but especially those tornadoes that could turn on the strong side further into the southeast. So yes, that's the concern with the northern branch of this system as it slows down. This is like a 6 to 10 hour time span, and that low pressure did not even move. In fact, it even got stronger. So that's the concern with this. This could actually slow down, if not almost stall at a certain time frame, and that would just be cranking the snow out over the same areas, piling it up at 2 inches per hour. It doesn't take much, especially you get right along those lakes there, and you have some of those lake enhanced effect systems moving in. That's just going to really pile up that snow, in a big way. So, and the winds are going to be something that we're going to have to be concerned about. You only need like 35 for a blizzard, and this is like double that, right? We got widespread, 50s and 60 miles per hour. This is not even like the severe stuff. This is just your normal winds that will be moving across with that low pressure center. So rain or not, you're still getting the winds with 50 and 60 miles an hour across the southeast, through Tennessee, through Kentucky, all the way up into the the Midwest here, through Ohio. You get into Michigan, along the Great Lakes. You got widespread areas of 50 to 70 miles an hour wind gust along and near that low pressure center. But yes, further to the south, look how fast this moves, right? So I showed you that squall line just west of Texarkana about 3 o'clock in the morning. This is 7 hours later at 10 a.m. It's cleared Louisiana. It's almost cleared Mississippi. That's how fast these storms are going to move. So by the time we get into 10 a.m., yes, there's where the tornadoes would likely be, or at least the risk of them, across these regions for the deep south. And this will only shift, but these are going to be moving 50 and 60 miles an hour. But so theirs are some preliminary snowfall totals with this system. And yes, that pink area that is really activated, that is a good 8 to 12 inches, if not more. Definitely some spots are printing out 18 inches, if not more. Yes, if it stalls, we could be looking at a very even more intense system than what we're actually showing. But yes, we are definitely looking for a significant snowstorm across northern Illinois, through the Chicago region, through Milwaukee, into Wisconsin, and pretty much the entire state of Michigan, but especially along the lakes there. A bona fide blizzard are coming your way. But look further to the south. This picks it up through that Sunday night time frame, and snow's already starting to show up in Oklahoma. And that's the second system that we're going to be talking about, because now we're going to be dealing with Arctic air. And remember what I talked about, the Arctic air travels faster because it's dense. And this is about 12 hours faster, if not almost 24 hours faster than what I was able to show you. I can't show you if the models don't show it to myself, but I just know, doing this a long time, it's fast. And this is Saturday night, folks. This is Saturday night. Look where the cold front is, right? It's past negative numbers in Kansas, teens in Oklahoma, and this is Saturday night. You're already below freezing in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That is a significant change in what I was able to show you just yesterday, because now the higher resolution guidance is picking up on this system, and it sees the true density of this Arctic air now, and it's plunging south, and it gets dangerously cold up there with those 20 and almost 30 below zeros. Will keep plunging south. But as the Arctic air drops south, look at the vertical velocity index. You've got more lift starting to show up that falls within the Arctic air across Texas into the Oklahoma region. And we have yet that cold front will continue to plunge southbound. So as you wake up on Sunday morning, look where the wind chills are. This is dangerous stuff. When it gets 40, 50 below zero, feels like that's like 10 minutes, you're frostbite. I mean, that is dangerous stuff. You can't stay out for an extended period of time, no question. And these elements, as those 40s and 30 below zero feels like, will continue to drop southbound. But those negative numbers get all the way down to the deep south into Oklahoma, into Arkansas, in single digits, feels like, into central Texas. So that's a true Arctic air mass. But then we're dealing with that vertical lift across Texas. We call that the overrunning type setup, but it's very shallow, right? So when you get these freezing rain aspects of it, you got, warmer air aloft 4,000 or 5,000 feet, but we live at the surface where it's dense and it sinks, right? Arctic air sinks to the bottom. That's why we're seeing all freezing rain potentially across North Texas, heading into the Waco region. But further to the north, all of Oklahoma should see snow flying from this system, easily 2 to 4 inches across Oklahoma City into the Tulsa region, if actually not more. So I do feel this storm system will be continue to move a little bit further south, but heading into that Monday morning, look at the true Arctic air, folks. 10 below zero in Oklahoma City. We haven't seen those temperatures. It's not like 2021. We're not getting that cold, but we're almost there, folks. We're not like that far away, because look at the widespread 20s below zero encompassing a good part of the central states, and that single digits start to appear into Dallas and into central Texas. So it's cold when it's 24 degrees in Shreveport, and that's going to be even colder, because going into Monday, we still have the cusp of anything that falls within this region is going to freeze on contact, and it's not going to melt in those teens temperatures, and the snow will be shifting across Arkansas into Missouri, through western Tennessee by then, into Kentucky, as the Arctic air will continue to plunge southbound. The further south it gets, you got the lift still. So it's definitely not out of the question. Even those areas in Louisiana, you're like, wait, what? What are we talking about? Yeah, possibility. You got Arctic air and you got just a little bit of lift. I mean, it's going to cause the atmosphere to overturn itself. So we could be looking at some freezing rain even into portions of Mississippi. It's not severe then. It's just Arctic cold entering the picture, but it gets just dangerous. I think Tuesday morning is the coldest morning, where pretty much the entire state of Texas is below freezing. That's hard to do, folks. That is true Arctic air plunging southbound as you wake up with 17 below, with all that snowpack on the ground in northern Illinois. It's going to be frigid. And then we'll be tracking a snowstorm as it heads east, as it finally starts tapping into the colder air. So yeah, Virginia, even these places along the northeast, folks. Is this the system that could break the curse for the I-95 corridor? I'm talking those places into DC, into Baltimore, into Philly, into New York City. I know the dry spouts. I know it's been a long time, but we do have Arctic air, right? That's no question. And it's just the only say, hey, if this low pressure center stays close enough to the coast, this would be all snow by the time it gets the I-95 corridor. The only thing that would be not having this event to happen, if this low pressure happened to move enough farther away, where you just get the dry slot on the back end. So it's 150 hours out. So, but it is a storm system that will be traversing across the deep south and then into the southeast, and then eventually heading up into the northeast, going to the middle of next week. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch the next update where I protect you before and after the storm.